What's poppin' YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Astro Finesse. It's your boy Lil Finesse Jiggy Hippie back with another video for y'all. And this video right here, we're gonna be talking about if you have Neptune in the 8th house. And I'll pause for the cause. If you don't know how to find your Neptune placement, if you're a new subscriber, if you're just starting off your journey of self-love, self-knowledge, self-understanding, if you don't realize why it's so important that you have to look at yourself through astrology, study yourself through astrology, and overall love yourself through astrology and numerology, don't worry, I got you. There's a couple of videos, I put the link in the description. You have to watch them first to become hip to the knowledge of what I'm about to talk about right now. So if you look at your birth chart or your natal chart, it's the same thing. And you realize you have Neptune in the 8th house, this video is for you. So without further ado, let's just get it poppin', shall we? Now you already know before I start, I'm going to give y'all a list of some celebrities so y'all can visually see what Neptune in the 8th house people look like and act like in reality. So to start, we got Michael Jackson, Shakira, Whitney Houston, Demi Moore, Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, Angela Bassett, George Clooney, Penelope Cruz, and Shaquille O'Neal. Alright, so boom, Neptune in the 8th house. First of all, what does Neptune mean? What does Neptune represent in our birth chart? So the planet Neptune rules Pisces, so anything Neptunian, think about Pisces energy, which is fantasy, illusion, and delusion, because it's hard to really understand what's going on in reality because it rules the 5th dimension. So things that are not seen in the 5th dimensional realm, fantasies, idealism, illusion, spirituality. And in your birth chart, wherever Neptune is, whatever house Neptune is in your birth chart, shows you where in your life you will kind of look at that through a rose-colored glasses lens, through a deceptive, or you might attract deceptive kind of energy in that area in life. You might look at it more in a naive type lens, a more cloudy, foggy type lens. So looking at your birth chart, wherever Neptune is, whatever house Neptune is in, you have to force yourself to put more emphasis, put more energy to understand more clearly what's going on in that house, because Neptune kind of fogs it up. But it also adds like a spiritual aspect to that area in life. It adds like a fantasy type aspect to that area in life. Now we already know the 8th house energy rules Scorpio. Rules are the taboo energy, rules secrets, rules intimacy, rules sex, rules the underworld, rules things that are not seen, hidden reality. Also rules our shared aspects, our shared finances, investments, shared resources when you're dealing with somebody in a close relationship, like intimacy. So shared resources also when it comes to money. Now what happens when you have the planet Neptune, which is very mysterious in a Neptunian, delusional way, spiritual and fantasy type way. When you have that planet of mystery in the house of mystery when it comes to underworld and hidden things and secrets and occultism and sex and intimacy. What happens when you have these two placements put together, when you have this planet in this house? Now this is an interesting placement, but I'll start off by saying these people, like, understand that a lot of people in this reality walk through this lifetime not really caring about things in the spiritual realm, not really caring about signs or really taking notice to what's going on like spiritually. But when y'all have this placement, everything about life, everything that y'all do, you always seek a deeper meaning to it on a deep level. Already, naturally, 8th house energy, if you have like planets in the 8th house, you're already living life looking at things or seeking things for a deep level. When you have Neptune here, it kind of makes y'all daydream about it, makes y'all really go into the other 5th dimensional realm about it, makes y'all fill y'all mind about seeking things on a deep level. So to start, y'all the type that really likes to dive into learning about things, studying about things on a spiritual sense. Y'all really find your sense of fulfillment, find your sense of spiritual internal healing, find your sense of wellness internally when y'all could dig deep into things Scorpionic, when you could dig deep into things Neptunian, astrology, spirituality, occult knowledge, things like that. So y'all you will naturally find yourself being really interested in digging deep and learning about these spiritual things. Like your mind, everywhere you go, your dreams, you might go through like a lot of deja vu moments. You might be looking at things like, oh, I feel like this is a sign about this, or I know what's going on here, or I feel about this, because like your intuition is extremely powerful in this house. Eighth house energy already has like that psychic ability because it's really sensitive to like digging deep underneath the surface, because naturally Scorpio energy wants to dig beneath the surface. So your intuition, having the Neptune here, which adds that intuition, adds that spirituality, adds that sense of hypersensitivity in the house of intuition and psychic ability. Y'all have a really strong sense of really tapping into the spiritual realm. Be careful though, because you could get lost being too much in the spiritual realm, being too much and trying to find like signs of everything, trying to be too tapped into the fifth dimension that you can kind of lose yourself and not be really in reality. But with displacement, it can indicate that you have a hidden power. Neptune makes it kind of hard to really understand what's going on, kind of hard to really pinpoint what is going on in that house, in that area in life. So you could have a hidden power within yourself that you have to really focus and really try to consciously tap into it yourself. Now, a lot of times with displacement, what the universe does to people that have like gifts and really strong intuitive and psychic powers is the universe puts you through situations. It kind of tests you, it puts you through turmoil and traumatic events. It kind of puts you through like a test or a journey that forces you to have to tap into another realm, to another higher power. Kind of forces you to stop looking at yourself as you're just a human being, but it kind of forces you to look at yourself as you're a spiritual being actually. So with displacement, y'all could have been through, like during a young age, you could have been exposed to like adult secrets at a young age, could have been exposed to sexual experiences or sexual information at a very early age. Y'all could have been through some type of spiritual journey at a young age that when you at that age you didn't understand what's going on, so it could have been traumatic, it could have been trauma, it could have been turmoil. And as the more harder journey you was the more harder the journey was when you were younger, the more traumatic events you went through when you were younger, the more power you will gain after you have gone over that, after you have healed yourself. Because you're not going to get that power unless the universe knows that you know how to handle it, unless the universe knows that you know how to heal yourself. So a lot of times these people have been through a lot spiritually, been through a lot esoterically, been through a lot in the other realms. So that means that as they're getting older, as they're actually honing in on their power, focusing on themselves internally, meditating, tapping into the other realms, as into studying what's going on, tapping into their own psychic abilities, you will realize like you actually have a tremendous ability to be psychic, to be like intuitive. You have a really strong sixth sense, as into tapping into the other realms of reality. But like I said, you could take it overboard, you could go too much with it, as into being too lost into these things, not being really tapped into reality. So just keep that in mind with displacement. So now we already know the 8th house also rules sex and intimacy and closeness and that spiritual connection. Now already, Scorpio energy seeks out in a partner that to death do us part, I love you forever. Like y'all seek out naturally, 8th house energy seeks out like that close spiritual bond, that close, you're mine forever, like we're going to be together, that close intimacy bond already. And now Neptune here kind of adds the idealism to it, kind of adds the fantasy to it, kind of adds the fantasy type, not in reality, kind of idealistic, not really knowing what's going on, kind of adds that spiritual sense to it. So in partnerships and intimacy, y'all truly seek out that spiritual connection big time, that intimacy big time, to the point that y'all could low-key have a unrealistic expectation for your partner. When it comes to sex, y'all could give yourself a lot to your partner. Y'all could give yourself a lot in intimacy. Y'all could give yourself a lot, like this is who I am. Like I want to give it all to you. Y'all could have like a lot of sexual fantasies. Y'all could have a lot of high expectations when it comes to intimacy and sex, to the point that your partner can't even like fulfill those fantasies for you, and that will leave you feeling disappointed. Y'all could have like a low-key, not realistic expectation of what intimacy is, that you're just giving yourself a lot to this person, and you kind of want them to be the same way as you, as into being extremely generous in the bedroom, extremely generous in intimacy, to the point that when they're not that way too, because you have like a rose-colored glasses, idealistic view of what intimacy is, that leaves you feeling disappointed. So understand with displacement, y'all really crave not just a physical connection, as in that carnal desire of sex. Y'all don't just crave that sexual connection, but y'all crave like a deep spiritual, intuitive, deeply intuitive spiritual connection with that partner. Like y'all crave that, and a lot of times y'all give that out at first, without knowing if that partner can give it back to you. And when you're giving it out to that person and that person can't give it back to you, that's what leaves y'all feeling disappointed. That's what leaves y'all fantasizing about another partner, about maybe leaving this one, going and find something else. It's like y'all are always in search for that deep, deep, deep spiritual connection. Like I said, I keep emphasizing that deep word because 8th house already is deep. Neptune makes it more in a spiritual, fantasy, fifth dimensional type of realm. So y'all crave that outer worldly type connection and intimacy. Y'all crave that. And you'll find yourself, if you don't really have a realistic view on this area in life, you'll find yourself trying to find that in every partner. And when that person can't really meet those really high standards, because remember, this is Neptune here. Neptune is not really in reality, so it's kind of idealistic. So your standards when it comes to intimacy could be really, really high. And if you're not finding that person that can meet those high standards, you'll be like, damn, this person's not it. And you start fantasizing about another person, start fantasizing about another relationship. So you'll find yourself trying to search and find that perfect, like, mystical plus intense plus emotional plus passionate. Like, y'all really want that all in one person. And it could be unrealistic sometimes. So keep that in mind, that you really understand that sometimes your ideals of intimacy can be really high key unrealistic. At the same time, y'all need to have that passionate, deep intimacy connection with your partner. Now, people dealing with a Neptune in the 8th house person, understand that they are really generous when it comes to giving themselves to you. So they kind of expect you to be the same way. They expect you not to have any boundaries like that. They expect you not to put up any walls. Like Scorpio really wants to like merge souls. They really want to merge energies together closely. Neptune doesn't have any boundaries, so you can find yourself really being giving of yourself when it comes to intimacy and sex. So keep that in mind. At the same time, y'all could use sex as a way to heal. Y'all could use sex as a way to tap into the other realm. Y'all could use sex as a way to connect deeply with your partner. Like, sex for y'all is really important, just not for the pleasure part of it, but for the aspect, esoteric type part of it. So you could use sex with your partner to really engage and to tap into that other realm. Y'all could really have like a lot of sexual fantasies. Y'all could like to role play, dress up, and do things like that. Y'all are really creative and imaginative when it comes to sexual energy and intimacy. So your partner will enjoy that, but at the same time, understand you will be quickly bored, quickly disappointed, quickly mad, quickly turned off if your partner can't really keep up with your imagination, keep up with your need to always want to tap into the other realm. If your partner's not really spiritual like that, and they just look at sex as a physical act, y'all not really gonna last a long time. So really search for, really tell them in the beginning, like, look, like, I'm not just in it for the act, I'm in it for like a spiritual connection. Keep that in mind with this placement. Like, y'all really search for that spiritual, deep, intense connection when it comes to intimacy. And you can also have an unrealistic standard to yourself, so keep that in mind too. But also 8th house rules like finances and shared resources. So when it comes to making investments, when it comes to loaning, when it comes to borrowing money, people loan to you, or taking out loans, Neptune here will kind of make it hard to really be accurate or to really be in reality of it. So be careful about contracts you sign when you're taking out loans. Be careful of when you're married to someone and y'all sharing finances, that you don't give them too much power of the money. Because like I said, Neptune has no boundaries. Neptune is all empathic. Neptune just wants to give and heal and help. So with this placement, you can find yourself giving your partner too much control of the money, giving your partner too much control of the finances, not really paying attention to the finances if you're taking out loans, not really paying attention to where your money is going when it comes to like assets and things like that, things 8th house energy. So keep that in mind, that you're not really, you're actually making an effort, being smart when you're signing contracts, when you're taking out loans, when you're actually connecting money with your partner and all that. But all in all though, with this placement, like I said in the beginning, your spiritual and psychic intuitive ability is extremely powerful, but you have to consciously tap into it. You were most likely brought into this reality going through a lot of things that's unexplainable, that's questionable, that's weird, that is like really like why that happened, how did that happen, that unsuspectingly happened, things that happen to y'all like in a more darker sense. Your mind can really tap into like the more darkness of reality. Your dreams could be really extremely dark and mysterious and scorpionic. So you can find yourself in this reality like, why is this happening to me? Why am I thinking about these things? Like all that. Understand that you have to really take the time to consciously tap into your spiritual power. Consciously tap into your psychic abilities, constantly tap into your sixth sense, as into understanding what's going on in your environment, because you can have a hidden power that if you're going through this reality, not really caring about the spiritualness, not really caring about digging underneath the surface, not really caring about looking what's under the surface, what's hidden. If you don't really care about that and you just care about the 3D reality, about going to work, getting a paycheck, paying bills, if you don't really care about the depth of life, you'll be wasting that hidden power. But if you actually tap in, if you actually meditate, if you actually study these esoteric things and spiritual things, and you actually love to dive into these type things, you will realize you have a tremendous type psychic intuitive ability with this placement. Don't have high expectations or high unrealistic sexual fantasies for your partner. At the same time, you will definitely be the type to heal and help your partner when it comes to sex and intimacy. Y'all crave and need that emotional, spiritual, and passionate connection and intimacy. Just keep that in mind. So that's my video on Neptune in the 8th house. I hope y'all enjoyed that. My next video is going to be a Neptune in the 9th house, and you already know I'm about to go in. If y'all subscribe to my channel, appreciate all y'all for real, you already know. But if you still haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, handle the one time for your boy. Don't forget to drink your water, mind your business, and be safe out here. It's your boy, Lil Finesse Jiggy Hippie. I'ma see all y'all when I see y'all. Peace.